A relatively new stereotype used to represent black women on television is that of the gold digger. The gold digger is a woman who wants to find a man with money to support her. Sandra Clark from the 1980s sitcom 227 was actually the first character on television to embody the gold digger stereotype. She was also the first African-American sex symbol on television. Unlike the Jezebel, the gold digger is not necessarily a promiscuous woman, but they are very sexualized. Once the gold digger appeared on television, the stereotype became common practice when representing African-American women. Here is an example of the gold digger from the 1990s series, Living Single.
To go out with a man just because he's fine is shallow. You also have to be concerned with how much money he makes. Now, of course, it is not just the money. It's how generous he is with that money. And whether he's hung up on that damn prenuptial thing. And there you have it.
The reason why so many representations of African-American women on television seem so similar is because many of them fit into the category of either gold digger, sapphire, or Jezebel. The progression of these stereotypes reveals society's view of African-American women has not changed much in the past 40 years. Black women are not a monolithic group and as such deserve a diverse range of representation. I am not arguing that these stereotypical images are negative in any way. I do, however, argue that these should not be the only roles African-American women on television portray. The next section is blackness on screen. I'm a woman who just happens to be black, blackness on screen, which means to what extent do characters acknowledge their black existence? Blackness refers to the ways in which characters identify as being black. Blackness on screen encompasses African-American life and culture, and to find out whether or not characters identified as black, I look for references in the script. African-American sitcoms employ black vernacular and black themes to represent blackness. So the concept of black show versus show about blacks. Shows where characters readily identify as being black are black shows, but shows where there are no references in the script are just shows about blacks, meaning there's just shows with black characters. Sitcoms, pilot episode reveals whether or not characters identify as black and whether or not a show is a black show or a show about blacks. Sitcoms where characters do not exert their black presence are aiming for a multiracial audience and not just a black audience. This clip from the pilot episode of Good Times is an example of blackness on screen.
You hear what you told me, Michael?
Well, she called me the ugliest thing in the
You
truck.
are the
Well, it's comforting to know there's still some respect for black power around here.
Clearly, the pilot episode of Good Times is trying to convey that it's not only a black show, but that it has an intended black audience. One common thing when watching these television shows was whether or not blackness was a performance or an identity. This clip from Girlfriends kind of gives a visual example of what I mean.
Just have some more potatoes. There ain't enough potato salad in the world. Tanya, you're white.
And
Stop acting black.
Oh, damn, guys. Let's not get into this, okay?
no. Let's. I want to hear what the sister has to say.
That, you see? That right there. That's acting black, and you need to stop. You're a sister. Not a sister. You're an not an
The episode continues.
Sisters and sisters need to just calm down.
Yeah, all right? Because y'all know we only get one black drama per decade. Y'all keep this up, they're gonna cancel soul food. And I just got Showtime.
Look, Tanya, we just want you to be yourself, okay? So that we can get to know the real you. You don't have to impress us by cooking soul food and listening to hip-hop and trekking through Africa. It's just a little too much.
Too much what?
Too much black, and we need a break.
Look, if it upsets you that someone white acts more black than the two of you combined, then that's on you.
So acting black is the performance of stereotypes associated with black life and black culture, and this performance can be acted out by either black or non-black individuals. But black identity is presented as something that one is given at birth, and therefore someone that is not black should not be performing it. Characters on recent sitcoms tend to implicitly, or if at all, reference the fact that they're black, which is why there's a disappearance in characters identifying as black. Middle-class characters identify as black more often than middle-class characters do. Middle-class women do not necessarily ignore race, but it is certainly not mentioned often to distinguish these characters as African-American women. Certain stereotypes, stereotypical characters, keep the sitcoms black. One example is the Sapphire. Certain stereotypes on sitcoms continually reassert their blackness, giving the sitcom its only black references. The Sapphire exemplifies this fact as she makes it known to everyone around her that she is black, while also encouraging other characters to identify as being black as well. This clip reveals how Sapphires keep the sitcoms black and also encourage other characters to identify as black as well.
All the characters you play wear nothing but sweaters tied around their necks, and you kiss nothing but white women. And you know, I'm sure it didn't help when you told Entertainment Weekly that you wanted to be known as an actor instead of a black actor, like there's something so wrong with being a black actor.
It is important for characters to explicitly identify as black because if they don't, it makes it difficult to advocate for more representations of African Americans if the ones that we do have deny their black existence. The next section is entitled, How Come We Overcame and Nobody Told Me? Shifting Class Dynamics Among African American Women. Working class characters slowly began to disappear after the success of The Cosby Show in the mid-1980s, which depicted an upper middle class black family for the first time on television. Characters slowly began to shift from working class to middle class or upper middle class. The show caused a domino effect in representations of middle-class African Americans in an effort to emulate the success of the show. Representations of African Americans on television shifted to mostly middle-class or upper middle-class individuals. Suddenly, all representations of African Americans on television were either upper middle class or middle class. Black unemployment rate is 13.6 as compared to the national average of 8.3. So working class characters might not exist on television, but they clearly exist in reality. The black unemployment rate is higher than any other minority, yet all images of African Americans on television are wealthy. The black working class, which once dominated television representations of African Americans, is currently missing. Both working class and middle class deserve to be portrayed on television in order to provide audiences with a diversity of images to identify with. Of the shows being analyzed today, only 2 of the characters identify as working class, and notice how they're from either the 70s or the 80s. As we shift towards the 90s, the majority of characters identify as middle class, and a few identify as upper middle class. The next section is entitled False Independence, The Desperate Need to Find a Man. Professional women have a constant need to want to find a man. Professional women are not validated until they have a man around to complete their notion of success. Independence is not being defined by making one's own money. Success is being defined by these characters as having both a successful career and a successful relationship. Finding a good man is more important than finding a fulfilling career. Professional success does not guarantee happiness. Professional success is incomplete for middle-class professional women without personal success, which mandates that a woman have a man and be on the road towards a marriage. The following clip is an example of false independence from Girlfriends.
I can't believe you're all ganging up on me like this.
You know, Joe, we're not advocating that you don't have a man. We're actually happy for you, honey. But however, in this day and age, no self-respecting, independent woman drops her friends just because a man is in the picture.
Dr. Clay Spencer, please report to radiology.
I'll see y'all later.
This clip provides an example of how professional women are willing to prioritize men over everything else in their lives, including their best friends. In conclusion, as black women on television sitcoms become richer, skinnier, lighter skinned, and less likely to identify as black, television continues to depict them using the same stereotypical images. Black women on sitcoms deserve diverse television representations. Television continues to depict black women in the same stereotypical images it has since its inception. As older stereotypes disappear, a new generation of stereotypes emerges. Stereotypes have shifted more than actual representation. Stereotypes are modified to give audiences the same images decade after decade. There is nothing wrong with black women being gold diggers, Jezebels, or stereotyped, but black women are not a monolithic group, and as such cannot be confined in how they are represented. Diverse representations. Expanding representations of African American women on television will provide a diversity of representations to identify with. Diverse representation should encompass the many African American women who are working class, who are dark skinned, or who are working class. If African American women can only hold a small percentage of television images, those images should at least convey the diversity and complexity of African American women. Thank you.